Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with an awesome new knife consult for you on a brand new collaboration between Custom Knife Factory and Tashi Bharucha. If you go back on my channel, I have a number of knives from both of these entities, Tashi being an awesome custom knife maker and knife designer whose designs are all over the industry. He's collaborated a few times before with CKF, most notably the large muscle that was also a 4-inch plus sized knife, but he also had the future, which was an integral knife. This Justice is a bit of a combination of those knives. It features an integral handled construction as well as a huge 4-inch blade. And I wanted to go through this knife and talk about it with you guys. I wanted to say thank you to my good buddy Nico, who sent this knife through me on its way to its final destination so I could check it out. I am sad to say that these knives are already sold out on the Custom Knife Factory website, and I'm sorry to say that they were limited to 200 models worldwide. So there are only 200 of these knives that are made like this, and that's sort of the CKF MO. They build a limited run of high quality production knives, and they're able to focus all their efforts and talent on making them very excellent. I have to say that CKF has been on fire this year. If you'll recall, they recently did the Philippe Georget 520 and 23 models. Those were just absolute home runs. And here we go with another excellent CKF model. So as I mentioned before, this is designed by French knife maker Tashi Bharucha, one of the coolest guys in the industry. I really enjoy his personality and his style. He's got a very unique look, and when you look at the profile of this knife, you know it's instantly Tashi, from the shape of the handle to the shape of the blade. He's got his own DNA, and it is totally in this knife with some extra special features. So let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about what we are looking at. Let's go ahead and get some vital signs on the Justice. Now, they do call this the Justice 2.0. I'm not really sure why. I never saw the Justice 1.0. Maybe I missed it. But as you can see, this has fully 4 inches. They actually say 4.02 inches of blade. It is 9.3 inches in overall length. Quite a big knife here. Your handle is over 5 inches, about 5.1, 5.2 inches. And your effective grip area is almost 4.5 inches. So it is quite a large knife. So large that when I bring out some knives as a size comparison, like the Paramilitary 2, it absolutely dwarfs the PM2. I'm going to bring out another knife just for fun. This is one that is going to have a video coming up. This is from my good buddy Jim Vandevelde of HMC Knives. He sent me his new production knife, this Micro Transient right here. This is rocking a 2.5-inch blade, and it absolutely is dwarfed by this giant Justice 2.0. So very, very big knife, absolutely huge, but it does a very good job of packaging itself fairly tightly, and it makes it rather easy to carry such a large knife. Now, they did not really save a lot of weight on this. Integral construction, one of its biggest downfalls is that it adds a little bit more weight because you have the full-length spine like this, and this one comes in at 6.61 ounces, so very, very heavy for an everyday carry knife, but it shouldn't be a problem if you wear heavier duty pants or jeans every single day. It should do just fine. Added to that is the weight of these zirconium inlays. We'll get to that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically. Up front is this beautifully done blade of M390 steel. As you'll see, this one is serial number 77 out of 200 knives. It's very, very cool. The blade is done in a hand rub satin. Actually, there are two finishes here. You're going to notice that there is a sort of decorative type of fuller design that is milled into the blade there that actually features a sandblasted texture, and it mirrors the tip of the blade when you get out here. It's kind of a nice design element. I hope my camera is focusing well on that so you can see how it accentuates the tip of the knife. There is a bit of a harpoon swedge, beautifully done all the way out to the tip. Nice hand rub satin. There is a bit of a recurve and then the belly of the blade right here. So it is that style of knife. It's a very gentle recurve. I hate the term non-committal recurve, but it is approaching that. In true Tashi fashion, it features his style of flipper tab. This is more of an artistic style of flipper tab so that it matches the lines of the knife. It always fits this curve. This is a very characteristic look. It's very similar to the Future, I recall, flipper tab like that. Not much of a sharpening choil going on there, but that is classic Tashi design. You can add one if you truly needed it. So moving back to the pivot, this thing is running on ball bearings in classic CKF fashion. They actually provide you with a bag. This is the case that it comes in. It's got its certificate of authenticity, and they give you replacement parts, so you can actually see that you've got a replacement pivot, race washers, as well as the ceramic bearings that are inside. Comes with this nice cloth. I always love getting a CKF knife because you know that you can really use and abuse this knife, as beautiful as it is, and then replace any of those moving parts along the line. So really impressive that they keep sending that out. So the pivot is incredibly smooth. This thing is tightened down to perfect centering, and it has really sweet action. I don't think I've come across a CKF with a disappointing action yet. The detent is very crisp. It may even be a little bit too strong. The first few times I tried to flip the knife, I kind of slipped on this Tashi style flipper tab. Once you get the hang of it, it's no big deal, and it's actually quite nice. What you will notice is that the pivot really has rather simple hardware going on here. I'm a little bit disappointed in this hardware. I feel like they could have done something a little bit nicer given the overall aesthetic of the rest of the knife. It just seems like a bit plain, a bit of an oversight on an otherwise very intricate looking knife. Speaking of intricate, we should talk about the handle. As you can see, this is one solid piece of high-grade titanium that has been lightly bronze anodized. But before that, they milled out this beautiful pocket up front for an inlay that has been filled, as I mentioned before, with zirconium. Here you can see this type of dotted pattern. I don't really know what to call this, but this is incredibly intricate. I hope my camera is going to capture this up close. Look how small these little dots are. The fine precision milling that happened here must have been very tedious and very time consuming, and probably killed a lot of end mills in the process, I can only imagine. And add to that, you go back and it's got actually a slightly different pattern, also equally complex, this diamond texture pattern, very perfectly lined up with the scale. They've got the CKF logo milled in there and a lanyard tube integrated into the handle there, very subtle, very clean. Even more impressive is when you flip this over, you see the same patterns on the back of the knife, but you'll see that they actually included that on the clip. So if you hold it just so, it looks like the clip is actually not really there. It's sort of got the same pattern. You can almost see through it. You can also see that as they milled it here, you see the pattern takes the corner there to match the underside of that. And if I get it lined up just so for the camera, it looks like it's integrated right there. Very cool. And of course, the very elaborate Tashi logo that they included there, very tightly milled as well. Another favorite feature on this knife is this lock bar insert right here. As with many titanium knives, they have included a steel lock bar insert so that there is steel on steel lockup. As you can see here is an example of the lockup. But the impressive thing here is that it has a little keyhole type milling to keep that thing from rotating in place. It's affixed to the end of that titanium bar with one screw, and in order to keep it from rotating, they keyholed it so it is finally fit right in there. That's very intricate. That's not really necessary, but it just shows, it's them showing off. It shows their ability to mill a beautiful knife. And if you look inside, as expected, no internal milling on an integral handle. We haven't quite gotten to that kind of technology just yet, but very smooth and nicely done on the inside. Beautifully centered. So what do I think of this knife? I really love this knife. It's a bit huge. At 4 inches, it's not going to be for everyone. It's also a bit heavy at 6.6 ounces. I would hesitate to carry this in my scrubs as I do most of my knives. I've actually been shooting for knives in about the 4.5 ounce or less range recently, trying to get lighter and lighter. But I think if you wore heavy-duty pants or, like I mentioned, jeans every day, this would be an awesome everyday carry knife. If you enjoy large knives, this is as good as it gets. A big blade of M390, beautifully ground, incredibly sharp, very functional blade. If you're not afraid of sharpening a recurve, it's a beautifully functional blade. I really like having a slight recurve in that point for draw cuts. It's actually quite functional in everyday use. Incredible build quality, absolute artistic execution. Really, I'm so impressed by this knife. I'm sad that I didn't get one. However, the price tag was a bit steep. I hadn't mentioned that this knife came in at $750 new from the website. These knives were built by Custom Knife Factory, and they openly admit that they utilize Chinese producers and manufacturers to do the mill work, and they assemble the knives in Russia. So it is kind of a two-step process. Obviously, the fit and finish and everything coming out of the Russian factory is always checked, and everything is very nice. And I have never had a bad experience with a CKF knife. I have been very consistently impressed with their quality and consistency. I have nothing bad to say. If I were a modern-day knife maker and I was trying to sell a design to a company, CKF would be at the top of my list. They execute these designs to perfection. I'm super impressed by this knife. Very sad I did not get one, but if you see one on the market now, maybe you understand why it's a little bit so expensive. It's incredibly intricate. It has these zirconium inlays. This milling is out of this world, and the integral handle at the same time. There's a lot going on this knife. And the overall look is also very beautiful. I really, really like this. Well done, CKF. Well done, Tashi. This may be my favorite production Tashi yet. It's just so perfectly executed. And there are a lot of them out there, and I've reviewed quite a number of them. So definitely check out the Justice 2.0 by CKF. Leave some comments below. Go ahead and click like and subscribe to my channel. And as always, this is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.